And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Tuesday morning. You know, I finally had an opportunity to go to sleep at a normal time. So I did that last night. I didn't watch all of the Monday night games live. I will admit that. I needed to go to bed, and I feel phenomenal this morning. I feel the best I have felt in weeks physically. I'm still a little bummed we don't have Met baseball. We'd rather have Met baseball. But physically, after getting some sleep, I feel very good. So I come in, I make sure I'm caught up on all the highlights, and as I'm watching the Baltimore Ravens, I'm thinking the Jets are going to try to be better than them. The Jets are going to try to get in the playoffs and be better than that team. Yeah, good luck. You got no shot. I'm sorry. There are teams in the AFC that even if the Jets get it together, they are going to get steamrolled by. And, oh, by the way, Bill Belichick, again on Pat McAfee yesterday, is trashing Woody Johnson. What do you think that does for potential head coaching candidates in the offseason when the guy who's the greatest to ever do it says that the owner is a dope on a weekly basis on national TV? Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jay. I may not be as, energetic as you this morning because I did watch and I have to watch and I love to watch. And I was thinking that, you open up and you say, okay, the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens are a different animal. They're going to make the playoffs. We all know that. The question is can the Jets get in the top 7? And right now at 2-5, you would say they don't have a chance. I will tell you that, all they have to do is they got to win this week, worry about this week, and then win next week, worry about the week after that, and then so on and so forth. And before you know it, other teams will start losing around them. And one of those teams happened to lose last night, and that was the Chargers, who lost to the Arizona Cardinals.
But what was this season about is really my question. Is it to squeak into the playoffs and get killed by another team?
No, we don't know what – you got to remember. So there are literally 4 parts to every season. At least that's the way we were taught when I was playing, that there were 4 quarters, just like a regular game. And the Jets basically are in the first quarter and a half of this season, and it's been an utter disaster. They fired their coach. They brought in a new wide receiver. They're getting their traded for outside edge rusher back this week. I mean, like all of this crap. And I understand it's hard to see the forest through the trees when you're talking about the Jets. You could sit here and say they went all in this year, and all they're getting is 2 wins out of 7 games. And I would agree with you. I would basically say, yeah, the sky is falling. But ultimately, the player in me says, this is the way I would look at it. When I try to explain what I'm saying here, I'm saying it from a former player's perspective. Like if I were in that locker room and I saw Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, a number of C.J. Mosley, Breece Hall, I would sit here and I would say, damn, I got a good team around me. We just got to get a win, and we got to get some rhythm going, and we got to start getting some confidence going on offense so we can actually be the players and the team that we're supposed to be. And again, I say, and I'll say it again, it's 6 games with these guys, and they have made a ton of mistakes, especially in the second half of these games offensively. So eventually, it's going to come around. I don't know when it's going to come around. I'm hoping it's this week against the Patriots because they have already beaten the Patriots, and it's probably one of their better games this year. And hopefully they can stop Drake May. Drake May actually looks like a reasonably good quarterback. So they're going to see a different Patriots team than they saw the first time around. And they'll see a little bit more of a dangerous offensive team that will put pressure on their own defense. And I know it is open season on Aaron Rodgers. It is open season on Woody Johnson. It's open season on everybody over there in Florham Park. I understand that.
Yeah, right.
So my perspective, however, is how, if it were me in the middle of all this, how the hell am I going to get this turned around where I can get this team to live up to the abilities of the players that are on the team? And
will have the expectations changed for what they are?
I don't know. They shouldn't change.
Okay, that's the biggest point, though, because they'll never reach that.
And I know why Aaron said after the game, we got to stop listening to you guys first. And it is the thing. Maybe in Green Bay he didn't have nearly as much, and I'm sure there was some criticism towards him, and there's probably a lot more laughing going on because of what the Jets have dealt with the last year and a half. But I would say that for me, I'm saying I got really good players here. This is proven players all around me, and we have got to get this thing going. Whether or not Jeff Ulbricht's message to the team is going to be listened to, or everybody's out for themselves right now, that's yet to be seen. But as the former player in me, I'm sitting here. Look, I played for Rich Kotite here.
Yeah.
And I was an idiot enough to think that we could win every time we went on the field. I
listen,
went
I'm
out
not,
there, and I felt that way. But I'm just telling you,
well, I
this
can't
team is
argue
not
your
that
point.
team.
Right, I can't argue your point. Like, you're the player, you got to believe that you can turn it around, because why would you show up to work and there's talent? That's
And
fine.
there's a big paycheck.
Right. That's
A much bigger paycheck
right.
than I got.
Yeah, and then you got to do that. There's no question about it. But just trying to project and look in the situation that they're in. I mean, and Belichick said this yesterday too, because I really love listening to Bill Belichick as an analyst. I'm enjoying him in this role, which was, he's like, no, defense was better when Rob Saleh was there. I mean, I don't know. And then you got this guy who's being both the defensive coordinator and the head coach.
And by the way, he also went after Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, he did. So
yeah, he's taking his pot shots, his little
But I mean, it's true though too. And even Rex Ryan said the same thing yesterday, where he's like, when you're the head coach and the defensive coordinator, and you've never been a head coach before, and you're in the middle of this cauldron of negativity. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do for Jeff Ulbricht. It's just,
hence why Aaron Rodgers said we got to stop listening to the media. It's not just the writers who probably cover the team every day, like Ken Azzaro and Samini. It's not just us who are talking about it every day. It's the people on ESPN shouting and screaming and yelling. Because
one of these guys is a former head coach of the Jets who actually had success, and the other guy beat the Jets 10 million times. It's not just guys like me that are saying it. These are guys with some real credibility.
I've been on losing teams, so I know what it's like. Rex basically got fired in Buffalo. Couldn't turn around because he didn't have a quarterback, and he's got his own scars that he's got to deal with, as we all do. Any of us who have played or coached in this league, and then we do sound like experts because some of us have lived through days like this. But I still look at this Jet team and I say there's just too much talent there for it not to win their share of games this year. And whenever it turns on, and hopefully it does turn on, later on in this season, if it doesn't get too late, they're going to find their footing and they're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. And right now, it has been scuffle after scuffle after scuffle. And, they've been in every game with the exception of this Monday night game against the Steelers, which was about as disappointing a loss, because you could say the three
first
previous
game, too,
games.
they got killed.
Well,
in the first game.
we expected that.
But you said the only game they weren't in was that.
Well, I'm saying the previous three games, they were all in. Okay. And they had a chance to win late in the game, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You could be as condescending and sarcastic about it as you want.
I just want to make sure you're accurate. I mean, you said they were in every game. They weren't.
I'm just saying, if I'm in there, I said, okay, we got to beat the Patriots this week. We got to hone in on what's going on, and we got to be ourselves, and we got to bring out the best in each other, and we got to just win this game. Just win this game. Keep our head down. He doesn't have to go on McAfee explaining everything, but he's going. He's got a contract there. He's got to go there. So. They better start winning, or that's going to start falling on deaf ears. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier in the year, as great as he is, he's got to understand what he's dealing with. I mean, this is an enormous market where everybody has an opinion, and 9 times out of 10 in situations like this, rightfully so, it's going to be negative. And, the media is going to harp on that negativity. They're going to look at Jet fans in the stands with bags over their heads. They're going to do the round tables with the Jet fans, our friends, and those guys are all going to be negative. It never happens to any other franchise. Yeah, try being a Browns fan. Try being a Panthers fan. There are other teams out there that are dealing with crap that they don't even have a chance to get out of. At least the
Panthers
Jets
have been to 2 Super Bowls since the Jets have been.
I would say the Jets right now have an opportunity to get out of this. Now, I will say it reminds me a lot of the Mets. I'm telling you, it reminds me a lot of the Mets. And you know who else reminds me a lot of the Mets? The Giants of 2022 remind me a lot of the Mets. Are the Mets going to stand back and bring back everybody because they had just great memories in the last 2 months? and they went to the playoffs unexpectedly.
Yeah, I said that in July. Yeah, it was like to make the comparison of that and what are they going to do at the trade deadline. Are they going to go all in? Are they going to trade? Like, it reminds me of the exact same situation. Are you going to sign guys in the offseason? You're going to keep them around? There were a lot of parallels between those two situations. But so is Woody Johnson going into, all the stuff that he's doing, taking control of this organization and saying to Joe Douglas, hey, I got it. I'm going to do things my way. Is he doing that to still win a Super Bowl this year, or is he doing that just to not be terrible? I mean, this is a real question that I have.
They're all in, and Woody Johnson has said that this is the best.
All in for
roster.
what, though?
They're all in trying to win. They're trying to win a Super Bowl.
What?
They're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, all right, that's what I needed to hear.
What else are you trying to win?
Well, because there are so many different.
Hey, man,
we've seen it with the Yankees. Hold on, no.
And believe me, I experienced that.
But the Jets also have these levels of things that they haven't done in a very long time. So this is why I'm asking this question. Is like they haven't made the playoffs in a very long time. They haven't hosted a playoff in a game in a very long time. I mean, the Super Bowl is just like in a stratosphere that I don't think we can even talk about. So, is Woody Johnson, doing all this stuff to save the season so they make the playoffs and stop that drought, or they really think that they're going to have a shot at winning a Lombardi Trophy? Because if that's the case, then. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but you can't think that way. Right now, all you got to think about is the Patriots if you are the team. And this is the negativity that Aaron Rodgers is talking about, and I lived through myself. I mean, sometimes it's really, really hard to overcome it. And, you never know what's going on in the locker room. But my thing is that they still have great players in that locker room that you got to believe it. Because if you don't, as a player, believe that you can win, then what the hell's the sense of showing up? I mean, you have to win this week, first and foremost. Short week, play the Texans. C.J. Stroud's not having a great season. It's an okay season. They have some injuries. I mean, before you know it, the bye week will be here. And if they have 3 wins at the bye week, done, over, no way, no chance. But if they have 5 or 6 wins at the bye week, now all of a sudden you got yourself back in the mix, and you have a final run where you could flip the beginning of the season and turn it around and go out on a winning streak at the end of the season and be right back in the middle of the playoffs. We are not even at the halfway point yet. And like I said, with the New York Mets, at one point I think they were 16 and a half games out of first place. And somehow they found the magic. And the magic came in so many different ways and so many different moments. And, that could happen for the Jets. It's more likely that it's not going to happen just simply because they can't seem to find their footing. But all they need is 1 or 2 games where they just take off, and then all of a sudden everything will look completely different than it does today.
Yeah, and I also think, when you fire a coach midseason, you expect a boost. The boost that the Jets got was losing to the Bills in a game where they could have been in first place and then having their worst loss of the year after that.
Two games ago, they were playing a game where they could have been in first place, and they lost it.
Yeah, and then they had their worst loss of the year after that with the new head coach that was supposed to help.
Yeah,
things.
I know. And so everything that Bill Belichick says is you got to probably listen to intently because he'll give you a now all of a sudden he's like Mr. Open and Honesty.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, and because he's smart. Because being open and honest as an NFL head coach is stupid, as we learned from Rob Saleh putting his foot in his mouth 10 million times.
Antonio Pierce, Gerard Mayo.
Right, all those guys.
Like all of these guys, like Antonio and Gerard, I think just sometimes think that they're still playing and that they use words that players would use about other players on the team, which tend to sting a little bit more because at least the player is saying it. If you're not in uniform and you're not protecting your players publicly, now all of a sudden you got an issue. And that's where those issues are lying with those particular franchises.
Yeah. So, Bill Belichick now in the media knows that he has to say stuff that matters. That's interesting because that's his job now. So,
well, you know what? I also believe that, he is really pissed off that he's not the coach of the Patriots. That's the sense I get. He's on every channel. I mean, it's really amazing when you think of the metamorphosis. Of Bill Belichick going from we're on to Cincinnati, not saying one goddamn word at a press conference, to now all of a sudden just blabbing all over the place.
Yeah, well, I mean that's
it's unbelievable.
If he wants to be good at both of those jobs,
But
that's the way he has to be.
Do you think he wants to work in the NFL again? If he had a guess?
And I think that he will, and he understands. Like, listen to the organizations and the owners that he doesn't criticize. Like, he knows he's not going to the Jets, so he kills them. He knows he's not going back to the Patriots. He kills them. So there's other organizations, that he's a little bit lighter on and not saying things
maybe
about.
Somebody should ask him about Daniel Jones and the Giants.
They did.
And what was his comment on that?
Well, he was definitely not trouncing them, and he also said something about the Saquon Barkley thing. He said he thought that Daboll and Mara didn't want to get rid of. We know Mara didn't, but he said Daboll didn't either. And Howie Roseman made a great move, so he did say that. But I do think
then who wanted to get rid of Saquon? Joe Shane,
I guess, and Brandon Brown and the rest of the front office. I mean, that's the guys that he didn't mention. So, but another point that I brought up earlier, I do think that it's a major problem because I still think you would say that most head coaches in the league look up to Bill Belichick still, right? Like the way Sean McVay was tongue-bathing him before that Super Bowl. Like you think that most coaches respect him, right?
One guy that's not kissing the rings, and that's Rex Ryan.
Right.
What's he doing now?
Right. So, exactly. So the way he is talking about Woody Johnson publicly, I can't imagine if somebody who is close to him or maybe not even close to him calls him to say, hey, they offered me the Jets job. What do you think? He's going to say, no way. Sit it out. Don't do it. So I think that the pool of good candidates shrinks because the greatest in the game hates the owner and has no respect for him, and his opinion counts. I think that's a thing to keep an eye on.
I also,
keep an eye on it.
I mean, not to belabor the point, but the owner also listened to Peyton Manning and hired,
that was Chris Johnson, though.
Yeah, I mean, but the point being is like,
who could be back in that seat, by the way, if Trump wins.
Right, exactly.
Maybe he'll rehire Adam Gase. Let's go.
Well, the thing about it is that eventually, depending on what happens the rest of the season, it's trending towards a whole new coaching staff. And the question is who would that coach be, and how much would they have to pay him? And is it going to be a ex-head coach, which you would hope that it would be, or is it going to be another coordinator, which I think – they've been down this road like 1,000 times, and it hasn't worked.
Well, Adam Gase was an ex-head coach, and that might have been the worst hire out of them all. So, I mean, it really comes down to just the right guy, regardless of what he did prior to that. And, Rob Saleh wasn't. Adam Gase wasn't. Todd Bowles wasn't. It's unbelievable.
I will say this. I'm telling you, if they don't turn it around, the ugliness around here in regards to these players is going to be – they'll never really understand. They will never have gone through what they're getting ready to go through if they don't turn it around. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah, and they're getting a taste of it right now. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry joins us in a couple of minutes, just getting started on this Tuesday morning. Got some weather for you.